Mr. Secretary General, thank you for this opportunity. This is your second visit to Moldova this year, and it comes at a symbolic moment for my country, when my country begins its 6-month presidency of the Council of Europe's Committee of Ministers. In your view, what are the real stakes of this presidency for Moldova, and what would a successful presidency look like from the Council of Europe's perspective?
So, first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity to meet and to exchange about the Council of Europe, Moldova and the Council of Europe, and the main challenges that we have together at this very important moment. And first of all, I want to underline that it is for me and for us, the Council of Europe, really not only important, but we're also really happy to have Moldova just taking over the presidency right now, because it is a very important moment, because we have a very strong collaboration with Moldova. You mentioned my first visit this year in February in Chișinău. It was to launch our action plan together for Moldova. And in the meantime, it happened a lot of things, elections. And for the next month, we have very important challenges. First of all, all the elements about what should we do, what can we do together to have a strong protection for democratic processes, for elections, but not only elections, for just supporting our democracies because they are under strong pressure at the moment.
You've mentioned the Action Plan for Republic of Moldova, and it's the fourth such plan since 2013, with an estimated budget of 30 million euros. What concrete results do you expect to see over the next 3 years, and which areas does the Council of Europe believe Moldova needs to accelerate reforms most urgently?
Yeah. First of all, we are investing a lot together also in Moldova for all the reform processes. And the best element showing this, it is that our office, the Council of Europe office in Chișinău, has a lot of people working in it now. 65 people are working here to implement, projects, reform, more than 20 projects at the moment. And the goal is clear, is to work together around those projects to make reforms in all fields that are necessary to have this convergence, with European values and to make steps in the direction of possible future accession for Moldova to the European Union. Our role is exactly this: to support Moldova in this path and to work with Moldova in this view. But just supporting the work and making some progress on all those elements.
What about disinformation? Disinformation is a challenge across Europe, but in the Republic of Moldova, it often turns more aggressive forms due to political, economic, geopolitical issues. What can other European countries learn from Moldova's experience? Because you mentioned the elections.
As we know, in all election processes, we have, a huge challenge about the quality of the information, about the quality of the debate, about the possibility to have different views in the debates. And it is not possible to have a functioning democracy without to have strong debates, also with differences, but trying to define together at the end with a popular vote, with an election, to define together what a country want to achieve, what a country want to have as a project for the society, for the development of the society. It's exactly what democracy is about. And in the world of today, with disinformation, with artificial intelligence, with social media, with this division that we can see in social media, with hate speech, with deep fakes. A lot of elements are playing a role at the same time, making more difficult to have this high level, high quality debate I was mentioning before. And what was happening in Moldova in the recent month was not totally a surprise for all of us. Probably also not for Moldova after the presidential elections and the constitutional reform and vote in 24. We can probably use this helping all European countries to think about what it means and maybe to develop together some tools to address these situations. And we are developing such a tool at the Council of Europe. We are thinking about a new convention on disinformation and foreign interferences, exactly for this purpose, to protect democracies and to protect electoral processes, taking some advantages from the experience, quite hard experience that Moldova had in the last month, to see what was happening here, what we can take to build a kind of toolkit, maybe for other countries, to see what we can do to have stability and good protection, to have strong democracies.
But speaking about these tools, how can we make sure that these efforts do not go too far? I mean, how can we ensure that well-intentioned efforts to counter disinformation do not end up undermining freedom of expression and democracy?
That's an excellent question. I mean, it's exactly the reason why we need to work together on this, and not just to let every country, each country deciding for itself what it means, and reinventing the wheel in different situations. We need to address this together. Why? Because it is clear that this toolkit and these tools that we could envisage to protect democracy, they should always be grounded in laws. I mean, it must also have a legal route to make this possible. Firstly, and secondly, all these measures they must also respect the European Convention on Human Rights. And it means exactly what you mentioned. I mean, the freedom of speech. I mean, the possibility to have free, open debates, not just everybody having the same views. To have contradictory debates, to have differences, and to try to make steps together and to find a better solution together. But exactly what you mentioned is a risk. We are absolutely aware on this, and exactly why. The right way to proceed is to develop a new convention. It concerns elections, but by far not only elections. It is also about public debate in public spaces in our democracies. And as we know, as we see from the 46 member states of the Council of Europe, not all member states have the same situation right now. We see some differences, and that's also one additional reason for us to see together those differences and to be well prepared to face those challenges.
The Republic of Moldova remains under the Council of Europe's monitoring procedure. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mihai Popșoi, recently said that Moldova aims to move to a post-monitoring stage, but this requires several important steps. What are those essential steps from the Council of Europe's perspective, and how realistic is it for Moldova to move to a new stage in its relationship with the organization in the near future?
Those steps are just underlining the progress that the country or that the collaboration has made. I mean, in this case, with the Council of Europe, I think the best way is probably to continue to work together along this action plan that we launched with President Sandu in February earlier this year, to continue to work on this. And I had, you mentioned the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Deputy Prime Minister Mihai Popșoi. We had an excellent contact last week in Strasbourg, for exactly the transition, to the new presidency from Malta to the Republic of Moldova, and I'm confident. I'm sure that this 6 months, with a huge responsibility for the Republic of Moldova, chairing the Council of Europe, will be a good occasion also to give more visibility about what we are doing here together, not only in Moldova but also in all the member states, and then to envisage to have a positive development. Because as I mentioned before, all those work are really here to address all phases of the organization of societies at the constitutional level and democratic level, and also, if this is the will and the wish for Moldova, to prepare this convergence, addressing and preparing the possibility also to envisage the EU accession.
We don't have much time, but I have to ask you about Transnistria. A month ago, the European Court of Human Rights condemned Russia for serious abuses in Transnistrian region and awarded over 100,000 euros to 5 victims. But Russia refuses to follow the court's decisions. What does this mean for the victims in practice? I mean, if a state ignores the court's decisions, how can they obtain real, not just symbolic justice?
Mm-hmm. That's a very important question. And you mentioned the European Court of Human Rights and the European Convention on Human Rights. Really, I would say, very, very central institutions to the Council of Europe and functioning really, really well. We have, and the first step, the first stage is always to have the access to the court, and it was given in this case. The second step is to see what the court is telling about the situation, and we have this step made with a decision of the court. And I will not make comments on the decision of the court. The judiciary is independent and it must be independent, but I see that we have a decision. That's the second step. And the first step then is about reparation. And about the execution of the judgments of the court, well, we have a very high level of execution in general in Europe, but by far not all judgments are executed in the short or mid-term. And this role, to follow this, it's exactly the role that the Committee of Miniștri does have, to take this case. Once it is, it has been decided by the court, then it will be much more political at the level of the member states. And the Committee of Ministers will follow all the discussion about the execution. In this case, as you mentioned, we see that it will be really tough and difficult to have a strong execution rapidly. But I mean, we have the two first steps, that's the first element, and then it is the role under the presidency of Moldova, by the way, for the next 6 months, to make sure that this will come at the table of the discussion and that they have to see what is possible to do to have an execution.
Okay. The Democratic Pact for Europe is a new Council of Europe's initiative launched in September 2025 to help strengthen democracy across the continent. Moldova, as a member of the Council of Europe, is part of this effort. Mm-hmm. But can a country facing hybrid pressure truly become a model of democratic renewal, or does the first require stronger constitutional and institutional safeguards?
I mean, we need really to be in this movement, to have these reforms, that's exactly why we have, by the way, action plans in a lot of different countries, in the member states. And it does not mean that everything is perfect in the countries not having an action plan. I mean, it is a concern. We need to be really modest, facing the democratic backsliding. Democratic backsliding, what we can call democratic backsliding, is ongoing, I would say, everywhere. I know no country not facing this issue, really. Why? Because of the elements I mentioned before. I mean, in all countries we have this division, division of society based on social media. I mean, social media, we must be honest, it is not the best place to have productive debates and democratic debates. We see this now. I mean. And it is a new challenge for us. We see everywhere disinformation, not mentioning the deep fakes, and it will be much more difficult in the future for citizens to understand what's going on, to be sure that they have access to high quality information. And we need to address this, and exactly the purpose of the new Democratic Pact for Europe. Not just to complain about the situation, not just to say, okay, it was better before. We had in the ancient times, 25 years ago, everything was better. It's not the case. Not the point. The point is, what do we need now in this reality to adapt, to make sure that the democracy will remain in these changing times and rapidly changing times? Will remain the strong system and model that we know, because the democracy can be quite fragile, but it is the only one system I know that allow all the citizens to be part of the decision for what they want as a future for themselves and for their children and for the next generation. And it's exactly why it's important to do this. And with the new Democratic Pact, we are trying with different elements, to address exactly these challenges.
I'll go to my final question. 10 years ago, your predecessor in this post, Mr. Youngland, was the first to call Moldova a captured state. And that statement became an important symbol of Moldova's turn toward democracy and freedom. And here we are, a decade later, Moldova is chairing the Council of Europe's committee. Is still Moldova truly past the risk of state capture, or do you still see structural weak points that could undermine its progress? How would you describe Moldova now?
I think Moldova has a geographical and political situation that we know. I mean, a neighbor with Ukraine, with Romania. I mean, in Europe, clearly, obviously, member of the Council of Europe and member of the wider European family. And what I was always impressed to see in Moldova, it is, I would say, one word: courage. The courage to change, to make some progress. And never to stop to do this. And with this courage to move, to change, to make some progress, it's the best situation to have huge progress and to have huge achievements for Moldova. I'm really confident that it will happen.
Thank you very much for this discussion.
Thank you.